Mark by OverClocking-TV. We're now with AMD. Along with us we have Mr. John Taylor, the Director of Client Product and Software. And we're most looking into client product. And along with us we also have Macci. John.
Yes.
Just before we spoke a bit about the upcoming products. Can you please tell us a bit about the Bulldozer?
Yes, it's a very big year for AMD when you look at our desktop roadmaps, and that we already in January of this year introduced our low-power desktop APU, or accelerated processing unit technology. That's called the E-Series, and you'll see boards already available in the channel for that. And then in the next few months we'll be ramping production on both Bulldozer core-based CPUs, as well as higher-end, codenamed Llano, Fusion APUs, both for the desktop market. So it's going to be a very exciting time over the next few months as we bring that technology to market.
When Bulldozer's arriving, will you start with the mainstream or the enthusiast, or will everything arrive at the same time? What is the strategy that AMD is planning to run on this launch?
So, yeah, well, first of all, we'll bring it to market as the FX CPU. And as we bring it to market, one thing I think that's important to acknowledge is that the enthusiast and the overclocking community were very much a part of the design point for AMD as we looked at what we wanted from the architecture, but also how we would package it and bring it to market and the sequencing with which we would do that. So I can't give specifics today on, oh, you'll see the 8-core part on this day and you'll see, a different core configuration on that day. I just think it's important to know that from the parts being unlocked to the availability of the parts in the channel at launch, those are all things that we're emphasizing. Now
that you mention 8-core configuration, how does AMD calculate the cores? Is it by the actual cores, or does the new architecture with 2 SSE pipelines count as 1 or 2 cores? How do you calculate that?
So overall the Bulldozer architecture is designed to deliver 30 to 50% more performance in the same TDPs, and roughly with the same die area as the CPUs that it replaces. And we do that, as you're referencing, with a combination of shared resources like the FMAC and the FP, but then dedicated resources with the integer pipelines. So with true 2 dedicated integer pipelines per module, we count that as 2 cores, right? And you'll see this as 2 true cores versus a hyper-threading approach where you're sharing 2 threads on a single.
So does one module, does that count as 1 core or as 2 cores because of the
a module would count as 2 cores.
Okay, thanks.
So an 8-core FX CPU would be 4 Bulldozer modules.
Okay. The next question would be, AMD lately you've been targeted towards quite a lot lesser price than the very high end from the competitor Intel. While remembering, you just mentioned FX. Back in the days, FX was alongside with the Extreme Edition, which was E back in the days with Intel. How is the pricing strategy? Will you still be priced at a decent level even for the FX, or will the FX be the premium again as the past?
So if you look at AMD's heritage, especially when it comes to the desktop enthusiast market, you can think about the AMD brand as something like that the PC connoisseur or the PC enthusiast knows always represents just incredible value, yet incredible experience, incredible performance for that value. And I think you'll always see that continue with AMD. I don't have anything specific to share on FX pricing strategies. Obviously, we're still a few months from launch from that technology. But what AMD's always stood for, you'll just see that continue as we bring this new high-end CPU technology to market here in the middle part of 2011.
Thanks. Macci, would you please refresh every of our viewers' mind with what is the FX and why is the return of the FX so important for everyone?
Well, I mean, FX is the unlocked CPU. It's for extra enthusiasts going for the records. We've done some great overclocking runs with the FX series back in the day, breaking many world records in 3D Mark and other benchmarks. So it's definitely going to be an exciting part.
One thing I was considering that maybe either of you can answer. Sorry. I've been speaking a lot with the other overclockers here at Cebit, and with the premium price of some of the CPUs, let's say the Golf Town at the moment from Intel is premium priced. If the FX comes as a premium price as well, would AMD be interested in actually binning the processor from stock before actually delivering to the market? So when you buy, let's say, $1,000 CPU, you're actually sure that you'll get the best and not just some random from the production line.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hypothetical at this point. You're asking, if we were to offer a CPU at those price points, would we pre-bin to promote better overclocking? There's nothing really specifically to that I can get into at this point. So I'm afraid that's the best that I can do, other than to go back to the way I answered your previous question to say that, you know, AMD is always represented. There's always a, let's use an analogy or a metaphor here. You know, there's always a more expensive bottle of wine on the shelf, a 200 euro bottle of wine, a 300 euro bottle of wine, but you know, the PC aficionado, the overclocker, knows how to get the best tasting bottle of wine and not pay 200, 300 euros for it. So that's a big part of what AMD has stood for, and that you'll see continue.
One of the problems in our community at the moment is when people look for the best processor, they have to buy somewhere between 50 and 100 processor. Of course, when you're buying at the premium price, a lot of us are hoping to get the premium product. That's how come it's really interesting. Some companies, not processor, but RAM manufacturers such as Corsair, they have a lab specifically to make so-called GTX, which is already pre-screened, so you're sure when you're buying for the premium price tag, you'll get the better product. So it's something that we would like to push forward to the market for some sort of binning when buying the more expensive. The next question would be, John.
Well, let me I'll just add one more comment to that. I mean, I think that's great input. That's the kind of input that we continually seek from this community. And of course, we have a number of different types of communities around the PC industry that we seek input from. And I'll just reinforce that, you know, we're very serious about engaging the overclocking community with this FX CPU. We think they're going to love the value proposition. I don't have anything specific to share about binning plans or pricing strategies, but again, just know that that's at the core of the design point for this technology.
John, I remember back in the days with the FX, which is a huge legacy to lift, so keeping fingers crossed that it's going to go well. I remember that it was the 940 and then later on the 939 arrived. Will we see something like that with the new launch, or will you maintain one socket? What idea does AMD have at the moment?
At this point, what I can share with you is that, of course, I think you know it's the AM3 Plus socket that we're bringing to market, the chipsets to support these new FX CPUs. So you'll see a range of new AM3 Plus products coming from our ODM community. They'll all be discrete chipsets. You won't see IGP type chipsets paired with the FX CPUs, but it's an AM3 Plus socket.
Perfect. John and Macci, we have one last question, or I have in this matter. Do you have any launch event, any plans for making an overclocking event like last time? There was this webcam going on with 5 different locations in the world. Italy, Russia, I think it was Moscow if I'm not mistaken. There was in Vegas, and there was something in Montreal, yeah. I don't remember the last location, but 5 different places. Do you intend to do something like that again?
Well, I think it'd make a lot of sense to do everything we can to get the word out to the overclocking community about these FX CPUs as we bring them to market. So, I mean, it's a great idea to look at revisiting that kind of an around-the-world webcast or finding something new and unique that we can do. So you can bet on us having a number of activities that we do where the overclocking community can get directly involved in, either virtually or maybe, you know, physically in the various cities where we might have some of these activities. So that's something for all of us to look forward to.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. Personally, I had the pleasure of joining in when the 940 was launched. I was at the event, so it was a great pleasure. Thanks for having me here.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.